guys, welcome back to another video. I know it has been a very long time since I've done a video and I apologize for that, but let's get started with what I'm doing here. Hannah is behind me. She is working on the computer, so if you hear the tap 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 of the keyboards, that's what that is.
Because I'm annoying.
She's playing her games back there. Okay, so what I wanted to do was something a little different. I looked around on YouTube to see if it's been done before, and I don't see where it's been done, but I'm not saying I'm the first person to do it. I'm just saying I couldn't find any other videos per se on what I'm specifically trying to do here. So I've seen a lot of the videos that do junk journal, Dollar Tree junk journal challenges. I've seen that one. But what I wanted to do was more of a mini album Dollar Tree challenge. So mini albums, I guess, can be many things, but when I think of a mini album, I think of a chipboard hard album with pages and flip outs, and I think of a neater, more defined pages and maybe some more clean images like fussy cutting and things like that, instead of inked up or vintage where you would do the junk journaling. So that's what I want to do. I gave myself a $20 budget. So let me take you through what I bought, and then we will get into how I plan on constructing this. Now, I'm not the type of YouTuber that goes and does the project beforehand to see how it's going to go and then come on and say, oh, well, this is what I created and let's do it together. I don't do that. I bring you the whole show right here, and you get to see whether it's a fail for yourself. So let me go through what I got, and then we'll get to attempting this. Okay, so the first thing that I got, let's start with the outside of the album first. That's probably the best thing. So for the album itself, of course, the Dollar Tree doesn't have chipboard, or I wasn't thinking outside of the box enough for chipboard, but this is what I thought for chipboard. So I saw these gift boxes and I thought if I layered them up enough, maybe 3 of these boxes could be a little, thick enough to be maybe a chipboard for the front, back, and spine of my mini album. I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to have to get into it and see how thick they really are. That's my idea. For the outside, I don't know if I'm going to make this the cover. These are gift bags. This is also an option. It's got some glitter on there. I don't know if I'm picking it up at all. Oh yeah, see the iridescent? You can see a little bit. I might make that the cover, or I might make this the cover because I really like the navy blue on that baby pink. So I might make that the cover, or I bought a whole roll of this really cute floral wrapping paper. So those are options for my outside of my book. So far we've got wrapping paper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 items already. I did hear Tango. That was really funny. I didn't know if the camera picked it up. That big old sigh was the dog. That's funny. Okay, so that's 5. We're up to $5. And whatever I don't use as the cover, of course, is going to be all throughout the album anyway. So I'm going to be using the gift bags. Okay, so I'm going to give myself a freebie item because I want to. I also got myself a big 50-cent piece of poster board, white poster board, because I know I'm going to need pieces to hold the pages in this mini album, and they're going to need to be thick. So I didn't want to mess around with any kind of paper or trying to glue pieces together. I wanted something really thick and sturdy, and so I picked up the poster board. that was only 50 cents, so I'm gonna give it to myself as a freebie. So, freebie for me. Okay, so we're still at 5 because poster board doesn't count. So I got myself these 3 beautiful colors of yarn. I thought we could do tassels or maybe put them on the pages as, I don't know, textures, or make roses out of them, glue them onto the pages as roses. I don't know, we'll think of something fun to do with these. Yeah, it's an extra texture. All right, so $3. We got $8 so far. Okay, this I needed because I need something to just have as paper. So here's any, paper that I need. I'm gonna use the sketch pad, and it's actually pretty good paper to tell you the truth. So we got $9. These were the colors that matched like the colors that I was going for. So I picked up this paint palette. I looked for watercolors because I love working with watercolors. They didn't have none.
They didn't?
Nope. They had no watercolor palettes at all.
Well,
so
that's kind of good because they're watercolor stocks.
I know, but their watercolors are good for these kinds of projects. Well, actually, no, she's right, because they are really chalky, and so when they dry, they're
really chalky.
I said they are really chalky. She makes fun of the way I talk all the time because I skip over my words. She's mean. That's fine. She's a bully. Anyway, so I can always water these down, though, I guess, and use them kind of as a watercolor. There's my idea. All right, what are we up to? 10 or 9? Hannah, see, you're supposed to be back there listening. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're at 9.
I'm not here for you.
I'm not here for it. All right, next 2 things. I figured we could go crazy with some glitter, because who in the world does not like glitter? Not me. Got some sequins because I want this to be extra sparkly and pretty. So we got some sequins. So now we're up to 11. All right, stickers. Here we go. These are gorgeous. I love them. All right, so we got all these flowers. These are going to be beautiful on there. And then I needed sentiments because I always love putting sentiments in these books, because that way when you put your picture down or whatever you're going to put on these pages, you've got your sentiment already there for you. All right, so 11, 12, 13, 14, we're up to $14. Envelopes. Okay, so what I thought was we could make these envelopes the actual pages of the book. I'm not sure I'm going to do that, though. That was my thinking in the beginning. I don't know if that's what I'm going to do. So I was thinking, here's where I was going with this. I was thinking we were going to cut out a whole bunch of these, and then this was going to be like, the cover or whatever, and then you open it up, and I was thinking these were going to be the pages. But I don't know if we're doing that yet. So what are we up to?
Mom!
7, 18. 18. This is a rub-on transfer sheet, and I absolutely love this sheet. I've used it a number of times, but I went and got me a new one for this project because this is number 19. And last but certainly not least are these pearls, because this is life. These are going to be just like bring the whole thing to life. Jewels, pearls, whatever you can get. All right, let me see what we're going to do. Okay, guys, so I just undid these boxes. They're super lightweight. Like, they're super lightweight. So I'm thinking even if I did 3 of them together, I'm still gonna have to reinforce it with something else. So I'm thinking we're gonna have to cut 3 of these out for the front, 3 out for the back, 3 out for the spine, and we're probably gonna have to reinforce it with the poster board too. when I do my chipboard, I use cereal boxes, and I usually do 3 cereal boxes, and it's really rather thick. But I guess cereal boxes are more heavier than this. But that's not the challenge. The challenge is not to use stuff you have around the house. The challenge is to use stuff from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to stay true to the challenge. All right. Just in case I want to make these a page, and plus I need to, it's going to be this size anyway. So let's just make, let's say we wanted to make this a page. So our page would measure 6 inches across. Now I gotta sneeze. All right, so our page would be 6 inches across and 9 and a little bit, 9-ish tall. 9-ish tall. So we want our book to be 9 by 6. We want our book to be like, let's do 9. Let's do, I don't want it to be super big, but 9.5. Okay, I'm just going to do the 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to do 9 1/4 by 6 1/4. All right. So let's get these cut down to 9 1/4 by 6 1/4. Let me see how I'm going to get, goodness, how I'm going to get a straight edge on here. And Dollar Tree has metal rulers if you need them, and Dollar Tree also has box cutters. I do not use, I don't use my paper cutter for cardstock and for cardboard. If I use anything, I use one of my old blades, one of my old paper cutters, but usually I don't use my paper cutter. I just use my metal ruler and my box cutter or finger blade, whatever is there. I mean, that one's right there, but I wanted to show you. That Dollar Tree has pretty decent ones. All right, we're doing 9 by 6. So let's do 6. We'll do the 9 first. And I highly suggest you get one of these self-healing mats because they are amazing when it comes. Yeah.
Healing?
Yeah, they're called self-healing mats because you can't see the cut in them. The material that they're used out of, the silicone.
Oh, that's so self-healing. I was like,
They're called self-healing mats because the silicone doesn't like stay cut. You can't see it stay cut.
I was like, what does it heal you with? Maybe you should already be healed.
No, it heals itself, not me.
Like intense.
All right, that was 9. And now we're gonna get a, okay, so this is our 9 by 6. We are gonna do this 5 more times. Okay, so since we've been apart, I have cut all of my 6 1/4 by 9 1/4 pieces of cardboard or whatever you want to call this. These are the boxes. Okay, I cut them all down. What I was left with was a whole bunch of scraps. Some of them were the corners of the scraps, okay? Well, they had these long pieces that were like this, these are the pieces that I'm using. There was a couple of them. I think there was 3 boxes. So there was 6 of these long pieces. I need 3 of them. Okay, 3 of these long pieces. Okay, we're gonna ignore that it's folded in the middle. We're not even gonna pay attention to that fold. We're gonna pretend that doesn't exist because it's not gonna exist when we get done gluing it down. Okay, so we're taking 3 of these. We're only taking 3 of them. Okay, take them, and we are going to cut these down to 9 1/4 because that's how tall our book is. This is going to be our binding system, and I'll explain how we're going to do this. I hope it works. All right, let's cut this down. So down here it looks pretty good. So let's just find a straight line to line it up with. That's what I'm trying to say. And then just get a straight line going on down here, and then we'll measure 9 1/4 from the straight line you created down here. Okay, so we're going down 9 1/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Really? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 1/4. All right, 9 1/4. I got a little tiny nick off the edge here, but I don't really care. It's not going to matter. You're not even going to see it because it's the binding system that we're going to use. So don't even sweat it. All right. So then we are going to make sure that they're all 9 1/4 up and down. Now we need to make sure that they all measure 2 inches and 1/4. Okay, 2 inches and 1/4. So we're going to put it on there. We're going to get it squared up, and we're going to measure 1, 2, and 1/4, and we're going to cut it. And again, we do not care about where that fold mark is because it doesn't matter. That fold mark is going to be non-existent once we get done with this because it's going to get glued down. I went off the edge there. Okay, so this is what we wanted. We wanted 3 of these, which I already got 3 of them. I just made an extra one, but that's okay too. We are keeping all of this stuff because I don't know what we're going to do with any of it. I told you guys, this is not like other YouTubers where they know what they're doing. We get to experiment together. And you know, I had some girl, I'm sure I've said this before. I know I said this before. I had some girl that was like, oh, well, why would I watch you if you don't even know what you're doing? Oh, no, don't watch me then. Whatever. Okay. So I had to get some scoring on to make sure that I knew what I was doing. I do. Surprise! All right. So we're going to start with our first one. And we're going to lay it flat. And we are going to go in. If you have like a fancy little scoreboard, go ahead and use it. I don't. I just use my handy dandy ruler and my Dollar Tree score tool that I just got today. Yeah, I'm big stuff now. You know what I normally use? The back of this. The back of this. Sometimes, oh, look, I found it. Sometimes I actually use a bone folder. All right, but we're going to be really fancy, and we're going to go in with a Dollar Tree embossing thing because it really works on this cardboard, actually. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to line it up square, and we're going to find a 1/2 inch, and we're going to go in and we're going to emboss. What am I talking about? We're going to score a 1/2 inch in on each side. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. There you go. Fold it, Again, we're pretending that that little thing right there doesn't even exist because we don't care about it. Okay? First one, done. Next one. Okay, for the second piece. For the second piece, we cut it at 1 3/4. Yeah, we cut it at 1 3/4. It's 1 3/4 inches wide. Pay no attention to what I'm doing because I'm doing it wrong.
Just like you always do.
So I screwed up and I'm fixing my boo-boos, but just cut it at 1 3/4 inches wide. And I'll show you. Okay. So look, measure. A little bit off, that's all right though. 1 3/4 inches, okay? So you do your 1 3/4 inches. This one was 2 1/4. This is 1 3/4. And you score at a 1/2 inch each side. You see where we're going with this? That sits right inside of that. Now, this one is going to be 1 1/4 inch wide. So we're cutting this at 1 1/4 inch wide. And then we're going to score at 1/2 inch on both sides. This one's going to be a little bit tighter to score because it's such a little piece. And we're only going to have like 1/4 inch in the center there. I don't know how this is going to work. I might be failing her, but we're going to try it anyway. I don't really like giving up. It's not really my thing. I don't like it. For realsies. For realsies. We're going in a 1/2 inch. We're going in a 1/2 inch. Okay, so here we go. Woo, wait a minute. Yep. Alrighty. Here we go. See how they all sit inside of each other like this? This is going to be our binding system. I don't know. Is it going to work? I don't know. I'll give you the...
What is a
I'll give you these measurements. I'll write them down on here for you. And that way you can take a screenshot. And then also score 1/2 inch side both ways. All right. Okay, so we got this. We're going to put this to the side. Put it to the side. We'll get back to that. We are going to work on this. These are our covers, and we need to get our spine done. Now remember, our spine. The thickest our spine can be is between these two sections. Oh, look at that. I got stuff all over myself because that's smeared. Okay, but the thickest our spine can be is going to be 1 1/4 inch. Okay, that's how big our spine's going to be because this is going to have to sit inside of it. Okay, so we'll make maybe our spine, it's not really 1 1/4. We'll make it maybe, I don't want to do 1 1/2 inch because that'll sit, let's do our spine 1.5 inch so we have some wiggle room, you guys. I'd rather have a bigger spine and be able to see a little bit here. Let's do that, 1.5 inch spine. Let's do 1.5 inch spine. Do you think any of these will work? Sure, this is 1.5 inches right here. See, I told you this is why we saved these. This isn't gonna work, I don't think, because remember it's got to be 9 inches. 9 1/4. Remember, our book is 9 1/4 inches tall, so let's pick through our scraps here and get some scraps. We can piece together scraps too, you know, if you need to. That's almost tall enough, not quite. No. Ooh, that one works. That's a good one. Okay. This is a good piece. It's not really going to work, I don't know. That's not really going to work. Where did all these good pieces go? Right here? This is a good one. That's a good one. 1, 2. That's all I have. 3, no. Alright, I'll just use the poster board. That's fine. Let me cut this one down to match. This is also how I cut things down too. Grab some clamps and just cut with your scissors real quick. If you feel like cutting with your scissors is going to be quicker than grabbing your blade, which is sometimes easier for me just to grab my scissors. Okay. Okay. We need poster board to come over, but let's get this stuff glued together first. Okay, I didn't also include the cost of glue, but I am going to be Dollar Tree friendly with the glue. All right, so we had 6 pieces of cardboard, 3 for each side. Let's get gluing these together. Dollar Tree friendly. All of the Dollar Trees I've seen has this Alene Tackies glue. If it doesn't have it, then they have their own brand of like tacky glue. Get it. Get it. I'm looking for my paper towel because I know I'm going to get messy with this because I dive in with my fingers.
She does, she does.
I have to, though. It's gone. Oh, I have Lysol wipes here. Fine. That's good, good. Okay. So, I've been using Alene's Tacky Glue a lot lately. book. Okay, back to this. All right, let's go get our poster board and start working on our spine. All right, I got this big old piece of poster board. I don't like working with these because they're a pain in the booty because they're so big. Look at how big this is. All right, here's what I'm gonna do. Here's a little trick that I do. I'm gonna show it to you. See these? They're not gonna dry flat because they're got wet glue on them. I'm gonna stick them under here. That way, the whole time I'm working, they're getting steady pressure on them, and hopefully they'll dry a little bit flat. So put it under a book. If you got some glue on the outside, put some wax paper down so it doesn't stick to it. All right. So I got it into a smaller piece to work with here. All right. Let's measure out the size we need here. All right. So these, I don't want to glue these two pieces together, so we're going to glue them opposite to make them sturdy. And then we're going to glue that right on top of them.
Baking Teddy.
All right, guys, so here we are. We have, and this is actually quite thick now that I put the glue and everything on it, so we're not going to have to add anything to it. We have a front, a back, and a spine. Do you guys see it coming together already? This is awesome, isn't it? I'm so excited. Okay. Yes. So excited. Yep.
Please do so.
I will immediately. All right, so now I have to figure out what I want my cover to be, because here's where we're going to put on our cover. Okay, so you guys, I hate this part. Hannah, pick a color.
Huh?
Do you want this one to be the cover? It would be like this if it was.
No.
This, or this.
That.
I kind of like that.
Wrapping paper.
Wrapping paper?
Mm-hmm.
Hannah picked the wrapping paper.
I like it.
I like the wrapping paper too, but I tell you what, here's what we're gonna do.
You're
We're
gonna change it.
No. No, we're gonna wrap it in paper first because I know that the wrapping paper is thin.
Oh, yes.
So we're gonna wrap it in, we're gonna do a layer of paper first,
Oh,
which is a good idea anyway. So, was that one of the dogs? So let's get this. Put together. Okay, something like this. So we're gonna attach these two together at about 1/2 inch. I'm gonna open up a new one of these because I need to be able to get a line out here. We're gonna attach 2 pieces here so that we can wrap the whole book, and then we'll wrap it in the wrapping paper. And the reason I'm doing that is because the wrapping paper from the Dollar Tree is so thin. If it was really nice thick wrapping paper, I would consider just using wrapping paper, but I don't trust the wrapping paper from the Dollar Tree to be thick enough to keep my book together, because this is going to be a sturdy little mini album when we're done. Don't be fooled when I say Dollar Tree. This is not going to be Dollar Tree material. This is going to be a sturdy little album when we're done with it. All right, go ahead and line this up, and then down it goes. Now the one thing you do want to make sure of is you don't put this crease anywhere near the spine of your book, because you don't want it to be a weak spot on your book. So okay, so this right here is going to go right there, which is fine. You don't want it to be right here or right here. It can be in the middle, which is fine. I don't mind that. I just don't want it right here or right here. You don't want it to be at the bend. Looks good to me. Let's get it glued down. So I'm leaving a space here, guys, because you always want to leave a space for growth in your albums. You don't ever want to butt them right up against each other, because then you're going to try to close your album and it's going to rip your paper on the outside. You always want to leave space. We're going to cut down the corners here, guys, and we're going to go ahead and get this glued down. I have to start doing this in. Got our base done. Okay, so right now it's still wet. We need to set some heavy things on it so it can dry nice and flat. And this is the base for our book, our mini album here. It is quite wet and soggy and not very sturdy. Okay, so we're going to stop this at here, and we are going to pick up, next video from where we left off now. So this is very wonky still. We're going to let it set and dry, and then we will go ahead and wrap it with the wrapping paper, and we'll see if we can get it a little bit sturdier. Okay guys, I hope that you enjoyed today's video. Make sure you subscribe to Chaotic Mom, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.